You said you're a what? I couldn't really hear you.
I'm a welfare king, right? I'm welfare prince.
Oh, welfare.
Yes.
Okay.
I got the kids. I got the baby mamas on child support. I got the full custody. I'm the guy that the parent that the teachers call and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, I think that when you say that, like when you brought up that cop situation where the woman got to do a pull up, I think that the female leadership makes it good for us, make it easier for us because when you think about it, if they only gonna require her to not even do a push up, now they requiring if a man want to be a woman, he could get the benefits of what the women get. Like I get the benefits. Not pause. I'm not saying that I gotta acquiesce to being a woman because I'm not that. But I think that the female matriarch by them taking over and by them leading, using manipulation with their femininity to control men to do what they need to do. That's always have been women. That's their power. That's their nature. And
Okay. So
it make it easy for us men that gonna participate in the same stuff. I don't want to participate in the hard working and dying at 50 and working hard. I don't no longer want to do that. I want to
okay, I see what
participate
you're saying.
in
You're saying that with women in the workforce with women in having the same opportunity and choices as men, it makes it easier on men because you're the type of individual that you don't really want to compete. You rather just sit back and chill.
Yeah, so by these women getting into our men's spaces, they kind of lighten up the requirements. And like for an example, I purposely
Well,
chose.
the real quick, the thing is they don't really get into men's spaces. Like there's not really a difference. So if you look at history would show you that even when women got the opportunity to get in certain fields that men dominate, uh, uh, prior before they had that opportunity, it was still dominated by men. And now that they have the opportunity, it's still dominated by men. So women aren't really choosing to go into fields that men go into, like science, technology, engineering, and math. They're not doing offshore drilling. They're not disposal men. They're not working for any disposal companies. They're going into being secretaries and being nurses and being caretakers and things like that that's dealing with
And that's
people
what
and
I'm
doing
doing.
social work.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm a CNA. Like I go to work tomorrow. I'm a CNA, and these jobs are so easy. Like the ladies work to get paid to do nothing. And then think about it. I purposely chose piece of shit women to have my kids with purposely. And a lot of people say, well, you purposely chose a bad baby mama to procreate. Yes, I think that's the only way that a man will be able to get his kids. Uh, as if he pick a woman that don't care about having kids, that's the only way you want to get your. That's the only way you be able to get your kids without a fight. Compared to the men that chose the good woman which turned out to be the bad woman when y'all break up because now you're gonna be like Tyrese crying, begging to get your kids and only get them every other weekend. So not only that, I got all of the benefits of being a father with multiple baby mamas. All my kids, it's been raised up under the same roof. I get all of the benefits. I get to sit on my ass and let y'all pay for my lifestyle and when I do want to go to work, I get to make 58. They boosted up to 5,800 a month and still receive all of my benefits. So I work as a CNA, right? I'm a med tech, so I pass out medication, white little ass here and there. I think that when the black, I'm not gonna say black woman, but women leadership made it easy for niggas like me. I'm enjoying it, and y'all gonna pay for my lifestyle. I get to create more kids, which I'm planning on. And then a lot of people say, "Well, how you gonna take care of all them kids? Y'all gonna pay for it. It's called taxes, right? And I'm gonna receive all the benefits. Y'all gonna be my slaves. I'm basically living like a boss. Because here's why I decided to do that. No matter how much hard work that me as a black man do, I don't take pride. and working for another man's empire. So it's one thing to build my own black infrastructure or my own black empire. We don't do that here in America. We build it. It's more of a disrespect to us to go to another man's empire who already have ill intent of us. They do not respect black men. They hate black men. They delete black men on a daily basis. But yeah, you take pride to go work. And they told us this education gave us power. And yet, it seems like the power is kind of jaded because the white man is still above us, and we do not sit across the table from the white man. That education do not teach us black people or black men
Well,
to compete
listen,
with
man.
white
The reason
men.
why the white man is above you is because of your mentality. You want to be like the black
As
woman.
well.
You want to be like a woman, man. Essentially, everything that you described is a black chick. I wouldn't consider you to be a male. I would consider you to be a black woman in the mind. Like you have an X and a Y chromosome, but your mentality is that of a woman. And I say that because your behaviors and the things that you choose, you're saying that, well, you want basically the woman to go out there and have the burden of performance, the burden of working, the burden of doing all of that. You're going to choose the lesser. It's like you have the mentality that let me make basically not just bad decisions, let me make the worst decisions so I have the upper hand. That's basically what you said. I want to have the upper hand in my relationship, so I'm going to choose the worst woman to procreate with that don't want kids, so then I have the upper hand and I get to have my kids. So therefore, you're not even looking at life as to be the best version of yourself, to get a woman that's, going to follow your lead. And you're looking at life like, well, listen, I'm going to reverse the game. I'm going to turn it upside down and say, you know what? I'm going to be the worst nigga out there. So I got a question for you. Since you are basically promoting to be the worst nigga out there, what example are you for your kids? Do you want your kids to be just like you?
Well, as long as first up, yes. And the reason why I say that, and I'm standing strong on that, because when you say that I have a woman mentality, black men in America, you are considered to be a woman. You do not compete with no man. Yes, you might go to work and work your butt off like a slave, like a subordinate, like a peasant. You not that hard work do not give you the same power that you think you got, right? So yeah, you
That's
go bust
that's
your
all
bone with
people
your
though.
fingers, but
So
you still
Jay,
not a real man.
but Jay, that's all people. So doesn't matter your skin
No,
color. Yeah, it doesn't matter your skin color. There's white people that's in poverty. There's black people in poverty. There's many
I'm not
different
talking about
type of
poverty.
real quick. There's many different ethnicities that's in poverty based off of, you know, if you're an adult, then you're making poor decisions, right? Of course, you can be born into poverty, but if you're a full adult with all of the opportunity, this is America. You can make your dreams come true, essentially. They're making bad decisions themselves. So,
I
I see what
disagree.
you're, once again, I see what you're saying, but why wouldn't you, as a father, why wouldn't you want your children to be a better version than you?
Because I think that you're not really paying. I think that we so shallow, right? We think by getting a lot of money and stuff to go to Johnny Day and spend it on jewelry that somehow our dreams come true. No, my dreams. If I'm going to go out there and work, I want to create my own system. We the only race in America that don't have no tie, no lines to no outside of this place. We barely on the lease here, right in America. The only thing that's keeping us here is the 14th Amendment. Before we be getting classified as an illegal immigrant, we no different. We next to the Mexicans, right? While we be sitting up there talking, all the thing Trump got to do is say, "Let's get rid of that 14th Amendment. We're gonna become an illegal immigrant."
Yeah, but Jay,
And
answer my
then
question.
they got
Why
places
don't
to
you
go.
want your
We do not.
children? Yeah, answer my question. Like, I want to understand your thinking. And Chad, he's not trolling. He's been up here before. You haven't been up here in a while. But
Right.
as you was talking, it started to bring back, memories of when you were up here, probably like almost a year ago. But
I'm not sure I'm actually living this.
What you say?
I'm not trolling. I'm actually living this. I got all custody of all my kids. I've been doing it for almost
Yeah,
8 years.
yeah, he not
All
trolling. I
8
had
years.
him up here before.
Mhm.
I don't remember the conversation of what we had. It definitely was about something else because I don't remember speaking with you about like this, your own personal life like this. But so answer that question like you're a father, right? You're leaving a legacy behind, and you want it. You said that you're gonna have more kids. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want like something better for your kids? Why would you want your kids to follow your same path if your path is of ignorance? Your
Well,
path is of, no motivation. Your path is of nothing masculine. If you have sons?
nope, not yet.
Oh, you got all daughters.
Yep. So now look. Now look, even though I had
Hey,
sons,
yo, what is going on here, man?
Cooley, even though I had sons, what's better than the government?
So,
And there's not a black man out here working, competing with the government, right? What
and
do the government essentially? Yes, they don't give you all of the money up front, but the average black man makes between 45 to 55,000 a year, right? Now with the government, what they buy is, let's say I got 3 kids and you have 3 kids. You making your average income at, let's give you 55,000 a year. You still got to pay for daycare, right? So
okay,
I get my daycare for free. You got to pay for food for the 4 of y'all. I get $1,000 a month.
I get what
You
you're
got to
saying,
pay for your rent. You
but
got your
Jay,
rent on come.
back to topic, right? You
No,
said
no,
you got
that's not
four.
the topic.
You said you got. I mean, you said you got 4 daughters. I'm asking
Three.
about your kid. 3 daughters.
I
Okay, you
think
got 3 daughters.
I got multiple kids out
So
there.
then, the next question would be: would you want your daughter to date a man like you?
Absolutely.
But if they date a man like you, then they would have to be no for good, nothing woman, because then the man that they're dating is gonna impregnate them and take the kids from them because your daughter is just, not worthy of having the kids. And that's how
Well,
you're raising your daughters to be unworthy of raising children?
this is how I look at it, right? I think a lot of y'all black men just complain, just mad and jealous because y'all can't compete with the other man. The other man is the government. I think that y'all shame black women and people that get on government assistance because y'all can't compete with them, right? As a man in America, you cannot. Why would a woman give up all of these good resources in her own power and not to be getting controlled and all this other type of stuff to get with a man that barely making ends meet and living an average life, or to throw money back in his face where you can't, where you gonna be controlling them. So yes, there's nothing better than the government. If you ain't making triple of the amount of what the government gonna incentivize, as far as like your health benefits, the daycare benefits, the food, the rent assistance, I can
Yeah.
move.
So, Jay,
I'm gonna
for
get on
someone like
this.
you, so the government, all that does is incentivize bad choices. So they come from a reactionary standpoint. When you make a bad choice, the government comes in place. They have systems in place like welfare and things like that. If you make a bad now. Things is not always if you make a bad choice because you can be born in a situation where it's not anything that's great, right? But when we're speaking about this part of the conversation, no. If you're saying that, well, no, I think that the government is a good thing and more people should rely on the government. So more people, if they're relying on the government, more people would be lazy. More people would not be meeting any goals. The world would be look, if we take your logic, right, and the way that you operate, and if we extrapolate that and put your mindset into let's say half of the population, where do you think America will be if we put your mindset into half of the population in America?
Well, I only predicate this for black people, especially black men, because
Okay, so then you want black people to stay in poverty
no,
and
no,
to
no, no, that's not
use.
it. No, no, no. Let me clarify.
Okay,
I
clarify.
want you know how you go to work, right? And you work when you work a 4 hour shift or 8 hour shift, you get a 30-minute break. We work 400 years. We need our 30-year break. So there's nobody in America that worked longer as black men, but yet we still at the bottom.
Oh, I see.
We
So
still at the bottom.
our
So this is
ancestors,
called respirations that
I
I'm
get what
doing.
you're saying.
I'm
Our
milking my
ancestors.
respiration.
Okay, so since our ancestors worked
Yes.
without any pay for 300 or 400 years, then
Right.
you're basically saying, well, since my ancestors work, I don't have to work. I'm going to take
Yes.
advantage of the systems that's in place that the government give us, and that's how I'm living.
Okay, now they sat on their back while us black folks was slaving and building this land, and they did the same thing that I'm doing, right?
So,
Secondly, right?
Jay, real quick, you said that's reparations. Reparations
Yes.
would be to get black people out of the situation that the financial system or the position where they're at in the class of systems, get them out of that position and put them in a higher class, right? If you are not being motivated and you're not being ambitious and you're not out there really going to make something of yourself, and if you're just being lazy, that isn't reparations. That's just being lazy. How are you giving to the next generation?
Well,
Listen, real quick, answer that. How, if it's reparations, this is what you're saying, man. I'm trying to stillman your argument so to try to make some sense of it, because it's very nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. You're saying that, well, our ancestors, they were slaves. They worked for 400 years without getting any pay. Well, my reparations is I'm going to sit on my butt and I'm going to collect this government cheese. I'm going to collect these handouts. And you know what? That's going to be my reparations, so I don't have to work. They worked for 400 years. Now I'm not going to work for 30 years. That's essentially what you're saying. I got that, right?
Yes.
Okay, now my question for you is, how is that reparations if reparations is to move black people in a better place than they were yesterday? You would be bringing black people back. You would be bringing black people worse than what the ancestors was. Yeah, the ancestors was slaves, was living in slavery, but our ancestors will look at you and said, hey, you have all of this opportunity, but you're not using this opportunity. They would spit on you and look at you in disgrace. You'll be disgraceful.
So my respirations is, okay, not have to work for not the peanuts, right? So when you go out there and work and stuff like that, my respiration is be able to sit on my behind, get to raise my kids, and spend more time with my kids. I get to watch my kids grow. I get to live in a house in a suburb community for $25 a month, while y'all paying $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month in a 3 or 4 bedroom home. Right, I get to do all that. That is respirations, because let's face it, they not going to give you your respiration that you are desiring. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my respirations the ghetto way. And nothing you brought up about our ancestors stuff, and why do y'all make fun of us talking about, well, our ancestors do this, but yet white people benefit of the power of their ancestors. The reason why white people today is still in power is because of their ancestors. That's in every race.
So Jay, you got it all wrong. Our ancestors, Jay, you got it all wrong. Our ancestors, what they did, they sacrificed themselves so us black people today can be free. We're not in bondage. We're not slaves.
No, they weren't by choice.
Let me finish. Right? Let me finish. Yeah, I didn't say that it was, but let me finish. So our ancestors, they made the ultimate sacrifice. And you can say it wasn't by choice. I don't think that it wasn't by, I don't think it was forced. I think it was choice, because they could have chose to all rebel and they could have chose to all die, right? They could have chose to die, but they chose to continue to live, to suffer the pain, so their legacy that they leave behind can have the choice to be a free man. And guess what? We are all black people. We're all free in America today, right?
No, we're not.
So, okay, listen, Jay, let me just land my plane. You're viewing things in a very twisted lens, right? We are all free today, and we are in the land of opportunity. There's no better country on the face of this earth, right? So with that being said, you want to just be lazy because you're an inadequate male and you have the mind of a lazy woman, not even just a regular woman, the mind of a lazy woman. and you don't want to make anything of yourself. You're not being an example of any of your children. Think about it. You got 3 daughters. You're not an example of a man that your daughter would want. You couldn't even answer that question, right? You kind of like skipped over it. This is the type of stuff I'm asking to see if you can. No, you said yes. You said yes, and then I said that if you do say yes, then that means that your daughters are unworthy. Then you have to conclude that then your daughters would be unworthy to raise children because the women. Relative. Well, listen, the women that you chose them women specifically because you know that they don't have the ability to raise children so you can get full custody of your children. This is the type of man you are. You went ahead and you sought out women that was not really worthy of having any kids, and then you went ahead and planted a seed in those women so then you can get full custody. That's what you did.
And I got my result.
Got it. So now if you want your daughters to date a man just like you, they would date a man just like you, which would mean that your daughter would be just like their mother, an unworthy woman. You get what I'm saying? An unworthy woman that isn't able to take care of children. Is that what you truly want for your daughters?
Well, I do want if they're going to have, since we live in an environment where a single parent is more pushed than families, yes, I'd rather for my grandchildren to be raised from their father.
Okay, so you would truly want your daughters to then be unworthy women to raise children.
Whatever the dice land, yeah. If because I know that I see the difference between.
Hey, chat, he's not trolling either. I'm asking him these questions. He thinking about it like, oh yeah, I want them to be.
What? I don't like to troll. I need to speak what it is, right?
Oh, man. Let's bring up some more people. Let's make this full panel. I had fun with you enough. Yeah, real quick. Jay, question. If your daughter ended up on a stripper pole, is that something that you would be proud of or ashamed of?
Oh, well, I will be ashamed if they have sex, period.
You said you won't be ashamed.
When it comes to my daughters. Every father is.
Yeah, that isn't a question. I'm talking about stripper pole. I'm not speaking about sex. So answer the question. Would you be proud or would you be ashamed if your daughter, her career path of what she chose to do with her time was to strip?
Yes, I would be ashamed.
You'd be ashamed. Okay. So if you would be ashamed, then this would bring you hurt. Because when you feel ashamed, like when you feel shame, it's not a good feeling. You feel hurt. So since you're not an example of a woman, since you're not an example of a man that you want your daughters to be attracted to, right? And you're not raising them in a way that's conducive so they won't end up on a stripper pole. You're actually raising them in a way where they will end up on a stripper pole, which you even conceded to when Kid Dream brought it up. Then if you know that it's going to bring you shame where there's a high probability that they end up on a stripper pole, why don't you just change your behaviors? Why don't you go out there, get a job, try to be the best version of yourself, try to teach your daughters good values and virtues and instill good behaviors into them so they don't end up on a stripper pole and you don't feel that shame. You can make a change to this.
Well, majority of the women that's on OnlyFans, Instagram, stripper poles, they have a father. They have a father, right?
Jay, and stop it. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about since you know. Listen, Jay, I know what you was about to say. You was gonna try to say, well, girls be ending up on stripper poles when they have a father anyway. So hey, I'm gonna just go ahead and not change my behaviors.
You can't control what they do.
No, my question is this. You can't
good father can actually say what they do.
What I'm saying is this: you can't fully control what another human being does without actually taking their free will or suppressing them down physically. That's the only way that you can control. But there's another powerful source rather than the physical, which is called influence. You can influence your children in a way where they won't make those poor decisions. The probability of them making those poor decisions and ending up on a stripper pole or creating an OnlyFans and showing their butthole online for $10.99, that probability would decrease a whole lot if you become a better example for them to follow. So why don't you change that so then you won't feel any shame? The only way that you won't feel shame is to make some change. So if you like that clip and you want to watch more, click right here. But if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.